Nice to meet you, Deion Sanders. My question is from what my dad and I have seen. A lot of your coaching has to do with teaching your players how to overcome difficulties.
Yes.
So my question is, what is the greatest challenge you have overcome in your life, and how did it influence how you are today?
Preconceived notions, preconceived ideas. When people purposely think you're a certain way and they haven't even met you, they don't even know you, and you're stereotyped because of how you talk, how you walk, how you look, what you wear, instead of waiting to really find out who you are truly. That's something that we all must overcome because this is such a judgmental world we live in, and there's so much judgment that's in all of us, and I don't understand it one bit. I really like you to show me who you are, and I'm going to believe you. I'm truly going to believe you, so you got to be careful what you show me. Great question, my man. We'll come back to you in the end, too.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Darius. I'm Darius, your host. Before we get into the topic of the show today, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, with your family. That helps me with the YouTube algorithms to get the video out to other people who enjoy this content. Now, we're going to be talking about Jason Whitlock and his comments that have been directed at Coach Prime, that is Deion Sanders. And I believe his comments, or many of his comments, are unwarranted. Now, you can critique people, critique their work habits, and in some cases, critique personalities and their different types of behavior. But I personally believe that Jason Whitlock has gone over the top. Now, I'm going to be doing two parts of this. This video is going to be first going to start off with a conversation between Jason Whitlock and some of his friends, Brett Favre, Warren Sapp, Seth Joyner. The second video, that one's going to be a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger, because his words were much deeper and much stronger. So this first video goes back to probably, I believe it's right before the season of this college football season. Next one's going to be, the second one is going to be more along the lines of what happened maybe, I believe it's a week ago. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into this.
We were having a very fascinating discussion about Deion Sanders. And Warren was this close to getting me to believe that Deion's going to be super duper successful at Colorado. I'm still not all the way bought in, but and it started because Brett Favre was like, "Oh, Warren would make a great coach," and I'm like, "Warren Sapp would make a great coach? Get out of here!" And Warren's been down with Deion at Colorado. You've seen it all firsthand.
They pouring concrete. Just know this.
Y'all, and Seth, I'm gonna lump you in, even though I don't know your thoughts. Y'all all probably think the Deion thing's gonna work. Warren, you start us off.
I'm fully here because the man is so consistent and patient with them young men, and then he surrounded himself with good coaches around him. It's not just him. It's not just him. If it was just him, I'd be like, Prime, you can't do this all by yourself, baby. You're a Florida boy, and I know we walk around with chips on our shoulders and think we walk on water, but that's just too much. He's got a great staff with him, and the kids are all in. When he's in front of them talking, it's almost like they're in a trance. And you know how that is when you got a football team on one beat. When you got a football team on one beat, we can do whatever we want to do because we're all rowing in the same direction. And when you have that as a football team, that's special. I'm just telling you, he's a special individual leading a special group of men out there right now. And he brought it, and it's him. He brought them all. This is his. So I'm just telling what I saw with my own eyes. And if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have came home, got on a plane, went back to Dallas with him to TCU.
I just great players, I don't think, make great coaches.
Not always.
Not always. Usually never.
I don't think ever.
Usually never.
There's always an exception to the rule.
It is.
We'll name them.
Deion Sanders will be that.
We won game.
No. He won at Jackson State, did he not?
Wait, let me ask you a question before you go to Brett and then you end up with me about Deion. What is it about Deion besides him being a great player that makes you doubt that he can?
Arrogance. Arrogance.
A little male jealousy right there.
No.
Arrogance.
Listen, I know
what he did You got to have that supreme confidence that you can go out there
I
and
disagree.
shut out 1/3 of the earth.
I disagree.
Well, before we go more into the video, I'm going to go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary on my iPhone. I'm just going to define it. Y'all can look this up too. But I'm going to look up the definition or share with y'all the definition of the word arrogant. It says exaggerating or disposed to exaggerate one's own worth or importance, often by an overbearing manner. Secondly, showing an offensive attitude of superiority, proceeding from or characterized by arrogance. Now, just like, and Jason's going to be bringing it up here in a little bit, but just like the word humility, I believe those words can easily be taken out of context. I believe that people can misdefine or mischaracterize someone's attitude or behavior. Now, believe me, I've seen some guys get arrogant over the years. Deion Sanders early in his career definitely was that. Kobe Bryant, for example, I personally didn't take the Kobe Bryant in his early in his career because I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was more superior than other folks. But sometimes, if there's a fine line, and it can be the attitude of the other person can maybe thread or walk that fine line, and they be defined, and that attitude be defined as something that is really not. It just appears to be that way. So we gotta be careful with that. But I can see at times where people can think you think something that's not really there.
Warren, I've watched all you guys play, and I have tremendous respect. Did you finish runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year? And I mean, you guys are all special level players. I watched all of you play. You're incredibly gifted, and I think a lot of times incredibly gifted people have flaws that their gifts make up for, but they think their flaws are part of their strength. And Deion was not the greatest corner to ever play the game, in my opinion.
That's fine.
Because of his arrogance. God bless.
Just because of his arrogance.
No. I'm saying I don't think that's what made him great. God gave him some incredible gifts in the womb, and he maximized that and worked hard and did all that. But it's not the arrogance. The arrogance to me is a shield or a beard for some insecurity. And just to be quite honest, when I see people that over the top, when I see people, he's my age, we're 56, we're the same class. I see people still wearing gold chains at 56, that's some insecurity. And because
now, that's not indicative of insecurities all the time. That's just, as Jason said, that's just his opinion. I mean, everybody has an opinion about something, and oftentimes those opinions are wrong. I mean, it's amazing to me. It's real easy to characterize a rich person that's stuck up or a poor person as being irresponsible, and this is why they're in that's the situation they're in. I mean, personalize this for a moment. How would you like it, or how do you like it when someone actually, from afar especially, mischaracterizes, misjudges, or opines on the fact that you care something about you and your attitude and your behavior that's not true? It's just the appearance of to the other person. How many of you have been misjudged? How many of you have been lied on? I mean, I've been lied on before. One time I made a mistake and said something about one of my mentors. This was years ago. And what would I call? I had a dumb moment. And his track record is he always gave wisdom, always consistent about giving me wisdom and points, doing some things, guiding me and all those type of things. Been an excellent mentor. And so over time, he was right on the money. If not 100% of the time, very close to it. And I'm talking about in the high 98, 99 percentile, okay? And so in the guidance they was giving me. And so one day, I say something very stupid. And I say it's stupid. I didn't say I was stupid, but I said something that was very stupid. That's a difference, big difference. I said this to my mentor. I said, nobody can be that right all the time. Now, mind you, their track record bore it out. Okay, they had the proof. Proof was in the pudding. But I was jealous because I wish I was that right all the time. Or most of the time, most of the time. And so for me, That was my insecurity. I can speak from that on a first-hand basis. But that doesn't mean that's always like that. That doesn't mean that somebody's opinion about a certain situation is always on the money about that. That's just a perception. And I know they say perception is reality. It can be a false reality, but nevertheless, it's somebody's reality.
I bought some gold chains. And
I never wore gold chain in the beginning, but I got me a nice Cuban now.
that ain't the level I'm talking about. He run around with Run DMC. And again, I'm not a Deion hater. I just
got a little male jealousy.
I don't. I really don't. I would love for
Warren on
Deion
him.
to be a
Warren's
success.
on him.
Humility is at the foundation of all sustainable success. Sustainable success.
Okay, before we go there, I also looked up the word humility. Humility is defined in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary online. It is defined as freedom from pride or arrogance. It's the quality or state of being humble. Now, that being humble does not mean you have to be financially broke and poor or impoverished. It's just talking about you having an attitude that even if I'm this good, that good, or I'm that successful, I'm not brandishing it all over the place. Okay? You don't have an exalted or an overly stated view of yourself. It's measured. Or even at times, you refrain from, getting all the praise or whatever that you actually can get. You know what I'm saying? The recognition and all that kind of stuff. So, but giving yourself the proper amount of praise or, give yourself a pat on the back is not a crime as long as it's done correctly.
Swagger and all this other stuff we love to talk about. We love to rap about it. We gotta have it. Put it on display. Yeah. That's all worthless.
But his patience makes
some of the things you were telling me.
No, I'm telling you.
Are humble acts.
I'm telling you.
The patience, the work ethic. You talking about when he's driving 90 minutes to go coach high school football.
Yeah.
That's humility.
Yes.
But I see too much arrogance to think that it's sustainable. But I'm open to being proven wrong.
You know what?
Now, what Jason's pointing out is that these guys are saying that Deion's arrogance is going to cost the team this year. Now, some of you who didn't believe in him either. Now, I want to say this right quick. I'm not here trying to persuade nobody for Deion more or make a case against him. All I'm saying is I'm pointing out some things that I believe that does need to be pointed out because black folks are very, in my view, notorious, if I can use that word, for beating each other down or playing the victim rather than lifting each other up and having some, encouraging each other more often than tearing each other down. And we don't praise each other enough, in my view. Okay, I could be wrong, and I'm saying that that's a general statement. I'm not saying it's a holistically speaking. I'm saying generally we don't really look out for each other like we should or could, like other demographics do. Anyway.
See,
I like that. You open for it.
Without question.
Okay. When I watched Deion and when I watched what happened, okay, so I got into a little dispute on social media because somebody fired. They were talking about, he was over the top. And I said, and I'm part of the media now. But I think one of the greatest injustices and one of the greatest problems with the media is that when someone writes something or someone says something and they get proven wrong, they don't have to eat crow. They don't have to go back and recant. They don't have to go back and say they got it wrong. See, my brand is that, I don't bite my tongue. I tell it like it is, and it might not work on a national level sometimes, but that's in Philly, that flies because that's what they want. But when I get it wrong, like I said, Brandon Graham will never be a double-digit sack guy because I've been around football long enough to know I can look at a guy and tell you, guess what? He got 11 sacks last year. The minute he got 11 sacks, I went on air in postgame and said, hey, I got it wrong. Congratulations to Brandon Graham. I sent him a text, okay? And I think that's the way it should be. But you can't talk about Deion and you can't talk about his kids and what they can and what they can't do in the national media and think he ain't going to come at you. You know who you dealing with.
Real talk.
He's been arrogant, and I won't say arrogant. I'm going to call Deion one of the most confident football players that I ever seen in my entire life. He's overly confident. If everybody else walked in that kind of confidence, they'd be amazed at what they can accomplish. Okay? So you can't come at him and think that he's not going to come back at you. You know? You just can't.
Ed Werder.
I agree 100%. You can't just, and some of you guys feel the exact same way in your own personal experiences. Somebody is doing all this chatter about you. They don't know you. They assume things about you. They presume things about you, and it's not the truth. That's the biggest thing. One of my biggest pet peeves is being lied on. Another pet peeve of mine is being wrong. If I assess something, if I say something to the effect that, hey, you know, I think Deion Sanders is like this, based on this, not, that's just my view, but I don't know the whole story. That's one thing. But when you say with unequivocally that, again, now sometimes it is unequivocally, okay? But if you can say unequivocally that a person is arrogant, conceited, over the top, and then find out on the back end they weren't, and you're not man enough or woman enough to come back and say, hey, I was wrong about it, because I've seen the media get it wrong, okay? And then they retract their story and make a correction, but it's not on the front page. It's not a part of the headlines. It's in the middle pages or in the back, and it's in the small section. And that's how some of us do. When we're wrong, we don't come up, we're not the bravado that we had talking about, you know, sharing our opinions, sharing our thoughts. We don't have that same energy when we need to correct something. And so I'm man enough, if I'm wrong on something, hey, I was wrong about that. I can say that. I hope, you know, and that's what I hope happens to Jason now. I will say this a small bit because I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's say he's right about Deion. I don't hear him providing any sound solutions yet. I mean, I hear he talk about some stuff, but he spends a whole lot more time. Throwing stones at Deion rather than offering some possible workable solutions to what he thinks is a problem.
Didn't come at him.
That wasn't Ed. It wasn't Ed.
He was talking to Ed Werder.
Ed, it was the other guy. It was the Shadik guy.
I missed this. What are y'all talking about?
The guy wrote an article saying all this buzz in college football right now.
Sapp, you in my lane.
I'll show you the guy.
No,
it wasn't Ed Werder. It wasn't Ed.
Sapp.
It wasn't Ed. Why would he be asking Ed Werder if he believed? What did Ed Werder write?
Sapp. You know me and Ed Werder are peers.
Brother.
This would be like me arguing with you about Joe
you're
Green.
not. When I'm sitting here, I know the guy that he was
I know Ed Werder.
It wasn't Ed Werder.
It was Ed Werder.
What did Ed Werder write?
He didn't write anything.
When you say I read that bull junk, because you can hear the guy's voice in the exchange.
He was talking to Ed Werder.
It's an Indian reporter named Shadik something, and he wrote all this noise about Colorado. We're just basically going to be talking about a 2-10 team or worse.
Ed Werder, I'm friends with Sapp.
You wasn't there.
I talked to Ed Werder.
Ed Werder cannot.
I heard Ed Werder's voice say, believe in what? That was Ed who said, believe in what? I know Ed Werder's voice.
Oh, no.
We're peers.
No.
Again, this is like me arguing with you about Derek Brooks.
Hey, you wasn't there. I got the video from the boys that's in there. I know exactly who he's talking to. I can show you the reporter with his tweet, because I even tweeted him. Come on, stop it.
After a while, I'll just let him sack me.
I do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just
what did Ed Werder write?
He didn't write anything.
Exactly.
And that's why.
He ain't talking to him. He said, I read that mess that you wrote. Do you believe? And the guy said, believe in what? That wasn't Ed Werder.
I believe they're going to win more than 2 games.
Absolutely.
See, I had the Colorado Buffs actually losing 6 games this year. I know the Coach Prime was successful in Jacksonville. He had several years where he was successful out there after getting his program and stuff together and all that. And so, in my view, I said, I think they're going to lose 6 games, give or take 5-6 games this year. So I'm not surprised where they stood. They did better than most expected. Coach Prime is a winner in his own personal life, so he expects to win on any stage he's on. And so, you look forward, look in hindsight, I'm like, okay, well, made sense to me. It's their first year. So that's what I was talking about. Anyway, this whole conversation has to do when Deion, after they won their first game, he says, "Do you believe now?" I know y'all know about that. He said, "Do you believe? Do you believe now?" And he has some attitude about that. Now I have to look into the whole context of that. I'm not gonna follow every little thing or report or do a video on every little thing that Coach Prime and his team does. But because again, my purpose really is to point out some of the negatives that I think needs to be addressed, and hopefully some positives come out of it. But Coach Prime was getting on the media, getting on the journalists because he was receiving a lot of criticism, like he is now, and still is to this very day. Some of you feel justified that he should be criticized, him, his team, his staff, or whatever. Again, to each his own. Don't make you right, but to each his own. But I wish, this is what I do wish. I wish Coach Prime was on this program right now. Matter of fact, like I said in this video, I was going to say it now, but next video I'm gonna ask the same thing. When you say certain things, you need to be held accountable, or you need to confront the person you talking about, especially at the level that Jason was talking about. Y'all do not want to miss that next video I'm going to be doing. He says some very strong, very dangerous things against Coach Prime, which I believe are completely unwarranted. So, but let's go ahead and finish this out.
They'll be 2-0 after this week.
I think a great player. This dude is. I don't think any of you guys could be great coaches. You're too great of players. But
see, to me, that's disrespectful. Listen to what he's saying. Let's listen to this.
Stop it.
After a while, I just let him sack me.
I do. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just.
What did Ed Roder write?
He didn't write anything, and that's why
he ain't talking.
I'm sorry, I went back a little too far, but
that you wrote. Do you believe? And the guy said, "Believe in what?" That wasn't Ed Water.
I believe they're going to win more than 2 games.
Absolutely.
Which they did.
They'll be 2-0 after this week.
I think
a great player. This dude is. I don't think any of you guys could be great coaches. You're too great of players. But
now, he just mixed in. He just threw a shot at them while at the same time throwing a compliment at them. To me, that don't mix well. Not in this case. Not in this case. That doesn't mix well. So you tell it, Coach, and as we know now, Sapp was already going to school for it. But Sapp's a coach now, and he's fixing to join the Colorado Buffs on Deion's staff like he said he would. And of course, Coach Prime welcomed him with open arms. Why is he going to sit here and fix his mouth to say what somebody's capable of doing? Like he really knows them. Again, he put them all in the same box. He didn't say, I don't think Warren can be, or well, maybe Seth, maybe Brett. No, he put them all in the same box. And said, or same basket, and said, I think y'all too good as players, but not good as thinkers. That's the way I take it, okay? Since this is opinionated show, this is my program, and I can give an opinion. He just said they're better at having skill sets being out there on the field, but not as thinkers, okay? Now, Favre is a quarterback, but still, head coaching, you got multiple roles you have to play as the head coach. And he just put a cap on, in his mind, put a cap on these guys. Brett gonna address that a little bit too here in a moment. It ain't gonna be rude, but it's gonna be direct. It's gonna be subtle and cool and smooth. But he gonna let Jason know, you out of your lane, dude. Don't put your limitations on me.
I could.
No,
You could.
you know what you got to be.
you could be a great.
I could.
Look at how Brett looking at him.
Now, later in my,
Later in life, because we've learned.
and I'm not as.
Hot-headed and fly off the handle as we were.
Sometimes it's best to just pause, think about it, rather than talking or yelling or screaming. I think there's a call for that, if needed. But getting back to Deion, I think Deion's at a place in his life where he's ready to accept that role.
Absolutely.
He's a marketing machine. There's no question about it. You can't fault him for that. From day one, back in the day, maybe he when he was drafted and he was playing baseball and football, he was feeling it. and it was all because of him. Now he gives the glory to God.
And himself.
Well, I mean, I think he deserves some.
I don't. Not as a Christian. I can.
Well, and we can argue this.
Now, Jason's finna start basically preaching, which I'm not against, because I'm a believe in Jesus Christ too, and this is my lane also, okay? And as a Christian, humility does not mean you don't give yourself some self-praise. Matter of fact, there's a scripture, and I can get that for y'all if y'all want, but I can provide that. Do yourselves a favor and just Google it. Look it up. There's a scripture that says, give honor. I don't recall if that's the exact wording right now, but it basically says that, and I'm sure Google can show it to you. Give honor to whom honor is due. It didn't say give all honor to God and God only. It says give honor to whom honor is due. So if you have a pastor, if you have a loved one, you have a coach or whoever, and they do wonderful work. They provide a wonderful service. It is not arrogant or showing a show of lack of humility, or a showing of a lack of humility to praise someone else or to praise yourself or to be praised. That's not just a thing for God. When you say thank you, you're showing someone appreciation. When you say good job, children especially need to hear it. Your teenagers need to hear that. Come on, if you look around, the coaches, they praise their players. Why? It also gives you the opportunity to criticize them. But if you always criticize them, do you think they're gonna really listen to you when you say anything else? No. But it's also not healthy to just praise and pat people on the back even when they're doing wrong all the time. No, they need to understand pleasure, and they need to understand pain. Okay, the pleasure of victory and success, and the pain of not living up to your capabilities. So, what Jason's about to get into here, I disagree with. But you got to have a healthy dose, okay? What I'm talking about is balance things out. We got to learn to balance things out, and you have to have the right understanding to balance these things out.
At what level of Christian
I've
is?
accomplished, again, and he's not at a very high level. In the sports writing deal, I've accomplished a lot. It has nothing to do with me. Nothing. Anything you accomplish on the football, you may not know it, but one day you'll find out it didn't have nothing to do with you.
See, that's what I disagree with. You shouldn't say, Jason was wrong here in my view. I don't think he meant it. He can say what he wants. He probably did mean it, but it does have something to do with you. When you walk in your life, your success or failure does have something to do with you, especially when you are the age of accountability, where you can actually make choices, make decisions. You have to play your role. You have to learn what your role is, and you have to play your role. God can give you instructions. You have to follow him. He ain't gonna do it for you. I know some people like to say let go and let God, and they misunderstand that statement. It doesn't mean you all hands off and you do nothing. It means you wait for instructions, you receive guidance, and you do what your part is. Okay? It's not God's job to feed you. God may provide food for you, provide you a table to a table and a chair to sit down and eat, utensils to sit down and eat, but you got to pick those utensils up. I'm not talking about little babies here. I'm talking about some teenagers. I'm talking about adults. I'm talking about mature people. You have to play your role. So Jason was wrong here. We are not robots. God didn't jump in our bodies. God didn't jump in Jason's body and help him become a very good writer. Or Warren Sapp or any of these other guys to be great football players. God didn't just jump in their body and did the act for them. He worked with them, or they work with God. All of us. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. All of us have a place, have a role we must play. And all we have to do is figure that out, learn what that is, and then do it. That's what Jason should have said here.
This is for believers, if you're a believer, and it's just factual. And so I don't think Deion doesn't realize that, and I just think at our age,
nothing to do with this. It's already written. You just got to live it.
No, it's not written. But dude, I'm so flawed and so messed up, and so.
Oh no, I'm born in the sin. I got.
And listen to this. I don't see the humility in beating yourself up and beating yourself down in this situation. I get it. You acknowledge your weaknesses, your failures, your frailties, all that kind of stuff. I get it. A lot of Christians do this. This is not scriptural humility. Okay, it's amazing. We don't want to go over the top, but there's no problem. We're going way below. We bury ourselves and we say that's a godly trait. Show me that in the scriptures. That is the scripture speaking. It's not in the scriptures for us to beat ourselves up, beat ourselves down, let others beat us up and down. And it's not scripture for us to become prideful and arrogant. We got to find that balance, and God can help us with that. So I believe Jason, again, he's incorrect. Yes, again, point out, hey, I'm not a perfect person. None of us are. But we are being perfected.
Not that part.
I'm so unworthy.
I only need faith as big as a mustard seed. I'm fine. You talk about a belief. No, come on. I was raised in the church. You beat me to Sunday school and you meet me at church.
Here's what happens, though. Here's what happens with great athletes. It literally, though, I mean, you have so much success, you get so much adulation, you get so that it clouds things, and you do start believing. You make your own self an idol. You make your own, and it's called idolatry. You make your own self an idol.
He's right. You can do that, but flip the coin, though. You know why a lot of people commit suicide? Because they self-defeating. They talk so low about themselves, they destroy their own self-esteem, or allow others to destroy their self-esteem, and they feel like they're worthless. They have no meaning in life, no purpose. And so the way they feel about themselves, they turn around and commit self-murder. Or in the movie Terminator, the robot, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character said he cannot self-terminate. Unfortunately, humans can self-terminate. And it's because of that mentality right there. I'm unworthy, ain't nobody, I ain't that good and all that. That's not scriptural either. So if we're going to talk about this subject about being arrogant and prideful, let's flip the script too. You shouldn't browbeat yourself down 6 feet under.
Through it to a lesser level, to a far lesser level, but yeah, had a lot of success.
Y'all almost won.
So wait a minute.
No, I'm talking about as a journalist. As a journalist,
I'm just checking.
I'm a Hall of Fame journalist, sports journalist. I'm a Hall of Fame sports journalist.
They got one of those?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And I've been through that mental deal where I thought I was, man, I'm it. Look, mama,
Jason,
daddy, everybody counting on me. Blah blah blah.
Have there been?
It ain't me.
Have there been coaches in the NFL that you think that have been non-players that are guilty of that same thing that had success?
Guilty of the coaches are arrogant. Yes, all of them. Even Bill Belichick's arrogant.
See, once again, do you hear this? He is just lumped. He's acting like he's God, whether he understands that or not, and saying everybody. He knows exactly what the heart and mindset, the character of each individual person is. That's arrogant. He just assumed or presumed to know the hearts and minds of all coaches. So he just said all coaches, according now he said all coaches are sinners and all that kind of stuff. Again, that's a whole nother subject. I don't intend to preach here, but he opened that door for this. But do you hear this? He is stereotyping all these people that he don't even know. How many of us have someone doing that in our own personal lives? How many of us wish people would ask questions first rather than later and make assumptions? People making assumptions all the time, and they're as wrong as day. They're wrong as can be, They're wrong as can be. Some of them are completely unapologetic. They don't want to know the truth, and some of them know they're lying. Come on, you know about it. Somebody lying on you. Somebody putting out fake news about you. I think Jason's wrong here.
Absolutely.
Had a ton of success.
That's the only way you're gonna be successful, though.
I know,
The way you pick a rugby player in the third round and play like it's something that's good for the team.
the smart ones are at war with their arrogance. Deion is leaning into his arrogance and confidence. He thinks it's what makes him successful. That's a mistake.
I think you need to visit him. You ain't seen him in a while, have you?
Well, no, I haven't. And
You
so
need to go visit him.
And so all I can do is I look at his post game press conference. He came.
Oh, no. I agree with Warren. Because that's one of the things I'm clamoring for. Especially again in the next video I'm gonna do. I'm telling y'all don't want to miss it. Y'all don't want to miss it. It's gonna be a good video. Jason needs, especially the things he has said as of late, he needs to request or give an invitation to, and I hope Coach Prime accepts, where he can talk directly, they can talk man to man, on a public scale, on a public platform, on his platform, about his take of Deion, and let Deion speak for himself. Now, whether he believes Deion, what Deion says or not, is entirely up to him. But at least let his listeners, his audience, listen to Deion's side of the story. I already know some people ain't gonna be convinced regardless. So what? Okay? At least let the man speak for himself. I certainly don't advise trying to answer all your critics. None of us can do that. You'd be wasting your time, and we'll have enough time in time in the day to do something like that. But because of the things Jason has said and the platform he has, and because of Coach Prime's platform, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had.
Came into his post-game press conference, sat down, screaming receipts, then sat down and started talking about his kid, Shador, and then then himself, and then finally, and then he started picking on Ed Werder and other people in the media and all this other stuff. And finally, he got around to by Monday, when he started going on Skip Bayless's show and Pat McAfee, he finally got around by Monday, started talking about the kids, everybody else. And Deion is well-intentioned, but what happens and you guys know it because y'all have had a lot of success. You've been star athletes in junior high, high school, college, pros, and when you're paying all the bills, people don't question much of what you do, and it can create an arrogance that you need to be humbled from, and so there's. Because I've been through it. I've needed to be humbled greatly and very.
You're a bad child too, so it might,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It might all be in one big cylinder here. You just spin it around.
Needed to be, and that's all I'm saying for the long term.
Recently, Coach Prime, and I put up a video on it, but Coach Prime in one of his latest pressers, maybe a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago, he did address that. He didn't address Jason by name, but he did address the notion that people say, "Oh, he needs to be humbled. He needs to be humbled." And again, I won't totally dispute that on some of his pressers, because again, it sounds like, he coming out strong on some stuff. You hear no lack of confidence coming from Coach Prime, none whatsoever. The question though is this: why? Why does he say all those things? Have you ever asked yourself, and according to the interview so far, this session so far, that question has not even come up from Jason. The other guys are defending, or at least thinking, in my opinion, they're thinking more logically. Jason didn't ask the question of why. He just jumps immediately to the notion that Coach Prime is just an arrogant person and he needs to be brought down.
Sustainable success, that arrogance is going to bite Deion in the rear end, in my opinion. I'm rooting for him. I hope that he finds this humility. I hope he hears me, if he happens to hear this, in context. I would love for Deion. You know who who I had a very negative opinion of for years? Michael Irvin. And then I sat down with Mike, and I'm like, oh my God.
That dude's passionate. About everything.
Yes, he's authentic. And I get all the flaws, because every mistake that Michael Irvin ever made in his life, I'm very capable of having made that mistake. Every last one. And so I love Michael Irvin. After sitting him down with him and seeing where he's from, I've sat down with Deion. Because, me and Deion have had disagreements over the years, and I've sat down with Deion. I think Deion's well-intentioned, but he's still drunk on his success.
I think Jason's well-intentioned too. But that doesn't mean he's not wrong. At least in most of his assessment, if not all of it. Like I said, has Coach Prime made some mistakes along the way? Yes. Maybe some of his coaching decisions? Yes. Any of us would say that. But again, we talking about Coach Prime because he's at this level. But let me ask this question in this entire conversation. How come the coaches that are also that does not have the name recognition Coach Sanders have? How come Coach Prime is not getting the praise for that? And how come from Jason? And how come the recognition of these other coaches, black coaches in particular, but just coaches period? But right now, I will say black coaches for this conversation, for this video. How come he's not praising them? Okay, Deion, let's say Jason's correct. How come he mentioned a little while ago about him being a believer, right? You know the Bible talks about if you have an altar against your brother, and again, if he's offended by Deion's, in his opinion, is Deion's arrogance issue, and it offends him, and so he feels it necessary to address it, then he should talk to Deion himself, shouldn't he? Shouldn't he go ahead and shouldn't that have been one of the first things he do is just hey, will you come on the show? I want to have a candid conversation with you, and so this will be about, and and give him opportunity. If he say no, he's Coach Prime say no, he say no. But I think it would have been better for him to talk directly to the person he seems to have an issue with.
And I get why. I get why, but I hope he comes out of it. We can all recover from it, dude. I mean, and again, on this show, and this Seth done said it, and I always keep it real, and that's why I'm glad. I mean, this conversation's been awesome. It's everything that I dreamed about. Yeah, everything from all of you, because I do want to just have a real. But if anybody you listen to this show, man, Sapp, I talk about it all. I used to live in strip clubs. I used to live chasing 25-year-old. I used to, I talk about all of it. And I needed to be snapped out of that and humbled. And I left L.A. and a lot of money on the table because I needed to get right.
It's okay.
Can I make this analogy? A leopard might never change his spots, but he does shed a couple of times in his lifetime. Okay? So while Deion might not be able to change his spots, the transformation, he's seen it up close and personal. The one thing he's passionate about what he does. He's passionate about these kids. And I believe he's going to upset the apple cart of NCAA football because he's going to start snatching more of those top 150 athletes, and it's going to piss off Georgia and Alabama and everybody else in college football.
See what ATM brother said?
Who?
ATM from
Oh, no.
Jacksonville?
No.
His
Oh,
little
yeah.
brother
Oh, he
plays
told
in
his little
Florida.
brother, yeah.
Say you might need to go see Prime.
See, that's what I'm talking about there is these guys laid out a case for seeing Coach Prime.
Can you guess if one of these foods makes arthritis?
Yes, there are issues. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there's a perception that Coach Prime, according to Jason, has some arrogance issues. Okay, he is over the top. He should just take it in stride, enjoy his success, low key. Once again, all of us have thoughts about people. Some people we think needs to talk a little bit more or show more of their personality. And then there's some people who say they need to scale back a bit. I mean, all of us have these opinions. But if you don't have the context of a certain situation, how can your viewpoint make any sense? How does that? It doesn't. So I think Jason's wrong overall, in my view, right now. If you prove me wrong, I'll come right back and do another show and say, yep, Jason was right. I sure will. Because I want to be right, and most importantly, I want to be right before God. But those of you who have subscribed, those of you who are going to take the time to watch this video and share it with others, I want to be right before you. I want to be accountable to you in the right way, obviously, but because I just want to make sure there's a balance as much as I can, at least present the opportunity or present the idea that there's a balance. There's going to be constructive criticism, but I think Jason's critique is more destructive than constructive. And then he's also a fellow Christian, a fellow believer. So if that's the case, he did not even mention it in this video. And the next video, like I said, you do not want to miss that video. The second part to this, he didn't mention one time to pray for Deion. They could have taken a moment then. I'm sure the guys would have respected and say, listen, Jason conveyed something to the effect that, listen, I know I've said some strong things. I know you guys disagree, yada, yada. But I ask you to join with me and let's pray for Coach Prime. That's good. That would have been, to me, the more mature and one of the best approaches to this situation, rather than get on national TV and basically attack the man's character. Now, again, if he come out right, which I think he won't, but if he come out right about it, so be it. I'll be back. Listen, I appreciate you for joining me today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your family and friends. I'll see you next time.